he should go back, and wherever he had a mistake, he corrects it. So he gets his spelling and his pronunciation right. Okay? One, right? And if it's Krishna conscious material, and again, I started first, didn't we do this? We did the topics first. Remember the titles. Then we did the sentences. Right? Then we started to pick some paragraphs that were very descriptive, because philosophically the words were a little bit difficult for them. We took paragraphs like this, where we had many concrete, vivid images, not just philosophical points that would be a little difficult to quite grasp. And then we started with the Bhakti Shastri to get the philosophical points. But that's what we've been doing with these ladies.
Mataji,
Yeah.
is it okay if the child replicates in his own words, or is it...
He can do that also, if he can tell something in his own words, because that's actually one of the 5 mental actions. To restate something in your own words, that means you understand it. But word for word is very powerful, because it builds vocabulary, it builds memory retention. Very powerful, yes.
Then is it not a good idea to do the word for word translation of the verses?
You mean in the Bhagavad Gita or anything? Oh, of course. Of course. All of those things are it's applicable to anything. But I'm just giving you what was Prabhupada's for. This makes creative writers. It makes articulation. And reading, oh my God. Yeah, automatic. And the other thing we would do is after we would read, we would practice reading like Stealing the Garments of the Unmarried Gopi Girls. Read all of it, then we would go back through, because it's in the index, it's all there. And we would time them on how fast they could read it. Right? You go to the index, and you have all the titles here. So if you have your Krishna book, you go like this. The Advent of Lord Krishna, prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb, the birth of Lord Krishna, Kamsa begins his persecutions, the meaning of Nanda and Vasudeva. And then you memorize them also. Right? You just use this book on all levels. Grammar, English, philosophy, pastimes, purification, speaking, on all levels. You can teach everything from this book, or the Gita, whatever one you want to take. You can teach everything. Our route is not wrong. You go to the Bhagavatam, it's even more elaborate. The passages are bigger. You take almost any one of these. We'll do one more. I'll read the sentence. We did this one with you ladies. Remember this one? In Dwarka's palace. Now just listen. Okay, repeat. In Dwarka's palace parks. You got the picture? Yes. Where are we? Okay. In clear and fragrant ponds. Got the picture? Because if you have a picture, you won't forget it. You're in Dwarka, you're in the parks, and there are clear and fragrant ponds. Filled with lotuses. Got the picture? Krishna would enjoy many sporting pastimes with his queens. Okay? So we've got where and who and what. Not so much. Not always do you get all of them, but most of them are answered in one sentence. That's what a sentence is about. A sentence is about who, what, when, where, why, and how. That's a sentence. And the more you can put in, we teach children how to expand sentences. We start with just something small, add prepositional phrases, add some adverbs, add some precise words, and you can have children expand from a little baby-type sentence into something that's a PhD dissertation. It's a lot of fun. And then you work from that. You start with your titles, memorize them in order, practice writing them, then go back, take all the sentences. We would do that next. Didn't we do that? All right? They memorize these. They would say them. They would be able to write them. Let's listen to one more and repeat. When his poor Brahmana friend Sudama visited him in Dwarka. Krishna welcomed and served him personally. He had him seated
He had him seated
on his own bedstead,
on his own bedstead,
personally washed his feet,
personally washed his feet,
smeared his body
smeared his body
with different kinds
with different kinds
of scented pulps,
of scented oils,
worshipped him with a lamp,
worshipped him with a lamp,
and then served him
and then served him
fruits and drinks.
fruits and drinks.
Okay? What did you remember?
Krishna seated him personally on his bedstead and washed his feet.
Good. More this time, right? What did you remember?
Krishna gave him to eat and drink.
Fruits and drinks. What did you remember?
Sudama visited his friend Krishna in Dwarka.
Okay, what did you remember, Mataji? His poor Brahmana friend Sudama. Damodar?
When Krishna's poor Brahmana friend visited him in Dwarka, Krishna personally
Well,
seated
he's trying to
him
get the
on
whole
a seat
sentence.
and-
Yeah.
And I'm just off memory.
Good, yeah.
And personally served him.
Right, very good. Umesh? Did you hear anything you remember? You got your earmuffs on. Okay, Mataji, what did you remember?
He offered him scented pearl.
Okay, Gandharvika?
Krishna made him sit on his own bed.
Wow, good. How about you, Gauranga?
He served Sudama very nicely and he served him personally.
He served him personally, okay.
Sudama visited Krishna.
Okay, Gauranga? Did you hear anything you remember?
Krishna welcomed and served him personally.
Welcome and served personally, Rasika?
The full palace was filled with fragrant flowers.
Okay, I think that's our previous one. Yeah, that's okay. But notice already how they're thinking in terms of beautiful, you know, they're going to be able to write now with some precise language. Okay, Manaji, what did you remember?
He smeared with scented oil.
He scented oils and cups with what?
And he gave him drinks.
He gave him drinks and fruits. Very good. How about you, Paul? Did you remember anything?
He washed his feet with scented water.
He washed his feet. And how about you, Manaji?
They've covered almost, more or less almost
Okay, but
everything.
whatever. What else?
When Sudama, Krishna's poor friend, Sudama visited him at Dwarka,
Right.
he first served him personally, he seated him on his bedstead and smeared him with scented pulp.
Pulp. Pulp. That's a good one. That's a good one. What did you remember?
Everything is done.
Everything is done.
He offered him arati.
Offered him lambs. That was good. We caught one more. Anything? Did we miss anything? Everything's covered? How about everything's covered? Anybody else?
Everything is done.
Everything's pretty much covered. Different kinds of scented pulp. We're sitting with the lamps and served him fruits and drinks. Very nice. So you get the idea how? Okay, Gauranga, what did you remember?
He gave fruits and
Fruits and drinks. Very good. So you get the idea of the importance of who, what, when, where, why, and how for study, for speaking, and also for creative writing. You'll know what to say. It has to be about someone. What do they do? And then this can lead us right into our diagramming. Okay? Because that's what we wanted to cover. I really wanted to share this with you. If you do nothing else with your child, if you don't know anything about English, if you don't know anything about parent teaching, if you do this with your child, your kid will be great. Like the idea? It works really well. That's what she's been doing, right? That's what I do. Any adult that comes to me, teach me English, I just tell them this. I said, you don't need to pay me, you don't need to do anything, you just come and show me that you did this every day for 1 hour. And then you could come and see me. If you don't do it every day for 1 hour, don't bother me. I don't need to just babysit. This is the method, and it works. You like the idea? Super.
The simple concept of pork beans in English. Pork beans.
Pop beads?
For essay writing, similar concept.
Oh, similar
Person,
concept?
object, like that, expression,
Right.
different.
Different things like that. Anyway, this gives you philosophy, it gives you grammar. And with some of my children, my little ones, we started with the Aesop doing this. And then when they spoke, they could practically repeat it with no trouble. And especially to build vocabulary. We use that book for initial vocabulary building. If you can give me that book now, I'll show you. Because I like that version so much. It was turn of the century. That's good. We'll take this one. It's turn of the century, so the English is of a much more artistic level. And so listen now for a vocabulary. Actually, I'll take the very first story because I remember that one was very good for vocabulary. There was once a little kid whose growing horns made him think he was a grown-up billy goat and able to take care of himself. So one evening when the flock started home from the pasture and his mother called, the kid paid no heed. So the first word is heed. Any word that's not something that's a part of their daily vocabulary. We stress that. And kept right on nibbling the tender grass. A little later, when he lifted his head, the flock was gone. He was all alone. Now here we get mood. The sun was sinking, the sun was sinking, not just setting. Long shadows. Now this is precise language. Long shadows were creeping over the ground. So they get an idea of artistry as they write. A chilly little wind. What kind of a wind? Chilly little wind came creeping with them, making scary noises in the grass. Now you're getting precise language that creates a mood. The kid shivered as he thought of the terrible wolf. Then he started wildly over the field, bleating. There's another new word, bleating. That's the sound the goat makes for his mother. But not halfway. Near a clump of trees. Clump of trees. There was the wolf. The kid knew there was little hope for him. Please, Mr. Wolf, he said, trembling. I know you're going to eat me, but first, please, pipe me a tune. So pipe is an old word for play. Pipe me a tune. For I want to dance and be merry as long as I can. Now this is the hedonistic philosophy. Death is in our face, but we're trying to enjoy it. It's right there, right? The wolf liked the idea of a little music before eating. So he struck up. Mind you, turns of phrases, something that's a little bit different. A merry tune, not just a tune, a merry tune. And the kid leaped and frisked gaily. You like that word? I mean, we've had a half a dozen nice words here. Frisked, bleating. Nice words. Merry. Meanwhile, the flock was moving slowly homeward. In the still evening air, the wolf's piping carried far. The shepherd dogs pricked up their ears. There's another good word. Pricked up their ears. Not just raised their, they pricked up their ears. They recognized the song the wolf sings before a feast. And in a moment, they were racing back to the pasture. The wolf's song ended suddenly as he ran with the dogs at his heels. He called himself a fool for turning piper to please a kid when he should have stuck to his butcher's trade. Such a powerful, short story, so well told. I tell you, this version is the best. I've had many books on Aesop, but this one, 1909, 1919, very, very nice. Moral. This is a good one to take back to Chowpatty. Do not let anything turn you from your purpose.
That was very meant for us.
Very helpful. Got the idea? When you go through the story, and then you make separate lists, vocabulary words, and the next day they have to tell the story, and they have to use those words. They can retell it to some degree in their own, but the new words, pricking, bleating, creeping, chilly, all the precise words, those have to show up, creating mood and clear picture. So it's quite fun, actually. The whole thing is quite enjoyable. Here you go. So did you learn about your 6 best friends? And you've learned about Prabhupada's secret formula. I'm going to, because you've asked me now to try to cover a lot, I'm going to tell you another formula that I did myself, if you'd like to know one more thing. Before I knew Spalding, before I knew any of this, before I studied a lot of philosophy, I was at a farm, in an ISKCON farm in California. It was very remote. The property was so remote that Howard Hughes once considered buying it, and he was quite a recluse. 400 acres, a few little kids. I was doing deity worship all day, and the parents had to go on Sankirtan to raise money. They had 4 daughters. One was an infant, and the other 3 stayed with me full time while I was on the altar all day. One was 3, one was 1.5, and one was 7. And the 7-year-old did not know how to read. Because the unfortunate thing was the guru for that zone thought girls should not learn how to read, they'll become puffed up. Now, I did not believe that, but anyway, as soon as he left, we decided to start reading. And the little girl was 7, and she was actually quite mischievous, because children who are intelligent but not engaged make trouble. I'm sure. Prabhupada said, if they're mischievous, that's because they're smart sometimes. So you have to engage them. So I didn't have any time to spend with her, but she would go into the little room. They stayed with me full time, and our room was right next to the deity room, and this was my cookie formula. You ready? And it worked. In 1 month, I said to her, your mom and dad, it was December 1st, they went on Christmas marathon. On December 25th, they were going to come back for Christmas feast. And I said, Madhavi, I want you to read the Krishna book to them. You have 20 days. So here's what she did. She took the Bhagavatam. I sent her into the room, and she worked all by herself. I'd be on the altar. We took a paper, one side of a page, right? We numbered 1, 2, 3. Now you combine this with Spalding. I taught a boy who was dyslexic. He came to the Gurukula at 9, and he was in the 1st and 2nd grade because he couldn't read, and he was Sukadev actually, and he was very ashamed of himself because he was so big, and nothing ever worked. And we took Belling the cat, and we did this, and he started reading.
Belling the cat.
Yeah. So you take one piece of paper, you divide it into 4 on one side, and on the other side you do this, and you mark 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, you can take one piece of paper, and you can do that. So I said to Madhavi, and we didn't know the marking, you combine this with the marking system, because this is what I did with Sukadev. And I said, his mom was helping in the mailing department under Davi Shakti. I said, after 1 week, you're going to read this story to her. Nothing else was working. We even tried all the Spalding and spelling. Nothing was working. We tried this. And I call this my cookie recipe. Because I had to do something, and I couldn't even work with the child. But she was determined. She wanted to read. And she was 7, and she was sharp. She couldn't read at all. Nothing. I said, Madhavi, you go into the room, divide your paper, one side 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the other side 5, 6, 7, 8. We took the Bhagavatam. We took the color plates. Go through the color plate, Madhavi. Find every word that's 1 letter. And write it. 8. Okay, Madhavi. In this column, every word that's 2 letters. So and the thing is, you have to scan. Okay. Now, this is where you see them all, right? Starts to add up fast. 2 and 3. And after the number, tell me how many times you found it. Okay, like maybe 6. 3. After. Right? Just write it. And now, mind you, now we even know marking systems, folks. We know phonograms. We didn't have that. I didn't have that skill then. Now we know this. We know all kinds of stuff. You combine this with the phonograms. I did this with the little 4-year-olds that came to me. They're reading in no time. Okay, now go through, find all the 3-letter words. And now you guys know what? Look how much you know. To the E rule 4. How many times did you find that word? Remember I told you 400 words are 65% of any page. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's Alice in Wonderland or, you know, Harry Potter. All the 3-letter words, and each time you go through and you find it and you tell me how many times it showed up. High frequency. 4-letter words. A lot of them here. Now the 5, 6, and 7, 8-letter words, because of content familiarity, and then we would go up to 9, 10, 11, up to 16, another 16 words, 16-letter words. Devaki, Vasudev, you know, all of the big words, Vrindavan, they know those already. All you have to do is give them the first letter and they can figure that one out. And she'd have to write it. Okay? So afterwards, we did this with Sukadev, we practiced this list. And we drilled. We did Belling the Cat. That story she's doing. We did this, we practiced the list and drilled and drilled and drilled all this. Then we would go through, sentence at a time. Show me where the word is now. Okay? And then after a while, he just started to put it all together. All the words, all the ones that however many letters, we had drilled them, and he read his first story. He went to his mom and he read Belling the Cat. She almost fell off her chair. From that point on, he went into Harry Potter because he was dying to read Harry Potter. Now that was a little bit of a big jump. And he finally came to me and he said, I think I'm trying too high. He had to do some more intermediate level books. But he wanted to read Harry Potter so badly. And he couldn't, he was dyslexic, he saw everything backwards. Anyway, this works too. And combine this with Spalding, Bhagavatam, take a color plate, go through the color plate. The child is scanning, getting all the words. You can use it for spelling, vocabulary, whatever you want to use it for. And I had one 4-year-old that came to me and he was reading 2 color plates a day. Bhagavatam. Just with this kind of method. Systematic, a little bit, and after a while, they don't need to do this anymore. You can just go through, what are the words that are new? New vocabulary, new spelling words. Try this is my cookie recipe. And it really did. And when Christmas Day came, Madhavi's parents came, we said, we have a surprise for you. She opened the Krishna book, and she read it like lightning. They took her with her. They took them with her after that. She didn't stay with me anymore, so she could read to the little one. That was her service, to read to the family every day. That's it. 20 days. On her own. I didn't have any time to spend with her. We would just drill this together a little bit. She wanted to read, so for 2 hours a day she'd be in the room by herself just doing this. By the lamp, way up in the mountains, you know. So there are ways to, what shall I say, shorten the process and get dramatic results. I wanted to share these things with you first because I think no matter what you do, you may know Spalding, you may not know Spalding. I'm just sharing with you things that will work even if you don't. Okay. Now, the other day when I was checking your homework, and it was starting to take a long time each page, and I didn't get to do too many, I'm going to show you some mistakes in skills, and then we'll take a break. Okay, so it's 3:30. These were common mistakes. See if you can spot them. What went wrong? Now I'll put it up and you tell me. This was happening and I didn't mention this. What's wrong here?
Underline down.
Very good. You should underline below. Why should you do that?
The G gets crossed.
Because the G, it makes it look like something different, right? So when you have a descender on a phonogram, lower the underscore. This was happening a lot, and this was my fault. I I didn't stress that. So this was coming up a lot, and I was correcting it on everybody's page. When you have an underscore with a descender, you drop it below the descender. Otherwise, it starts to create a new impression. Looks like a new letter here. What letter's that? Okay, this was happening a lot. Tell me what's wrong. This is another good strategy with children. Rather than telling them what's wrong, you ask them to see what's wrong. What's wrong? Where's the mistake? This happens a lot. Now this comes from, that's why I'm saying skills require a coach. Philosophy, that's not so hard. We can cover the material and you can learn that pretty fast. But the skill, because the skill means I'm either dealing with habits or a lack of perception. Right? I'm either dealing with an ingrained habit like turning page the wrong way, or I'm dealing with a lack of perceptual awareness, which means I just have to raise my awareness. But the older you are, the harder it is to deal with the ingrained habit. Okay, see what's wrong here. Everybody look. You tell me what's wrong. Can everybody see? Right, you have to check the zones. How many zones are needed per letter? Many cases we got this. Many. Even with adults. Letters have a zonal space. Some are one zone, some are two, and some are three. So this happened a lot. This happened a lot. So check, because you're going to be teaching, and I saw adults were making these mistakes, not just the children. So check the number of zones. Because what happens here, it looks like a dwarf moved in. Gulliver's Lilliputians moved into this one, this story. And what else is wrong here? Yeah, not only that, they didn't underline it, right? Yes. Children were raising their hands. I got 100%, Mataji, but they didn't underline it, right? The tendency is sometimes we want to think we're better than we're actually performing. The other can happen too. Sometimes poor self-image. But the tendency is we think we're doing it right, but actually it's a lack of...
Rule 4.
And Rule 4. Everything had to be there. Rule 4. Okay. Okay. Rule 4. So everything has to be there. The underscores, the final E has to be underlined. Rule 4. Okay, here was another common mistake. See if you can detect it. See what made this little boy unhappy, huh? What did he do?
W is wrong. W should touch the...
Yes, the W should touch. See, you know, when you do this, they become sharper. If you just tell them, but if you have them look, make them the assessors, then they should become very sharp. Okay? Here's another very common mistake. See what's wrong here.
No go. And
Yes, you're right. Yes, we were getting lots of curly tails. Right, and the T is supposed to be crossed here, and there's no curve here. T actually, she makes T an almost tall letter. Yeah, but just a little bit below. And it stops here. No, and the same way with the F. We got Fs that were like this, because you'll see in other books that's how they teach it. They cross it right there. But she doesn't. She doesn't want to confuse the child. It's crossed a little bit above. Okay? Everything she does has a reason. So that was a common mistake. Basically watching the number of zones, watching the underscoring, that happened a lot. Forms that were not completely taken around to 2 o'clock, like I often got an R for rule, like this. Didn't go over to 2. Right? Didn't go over to 2. The 4, all kinds of things with the 4. We should have practiced the numerals. I would get either a tiny one, a huge 2-space one that was like this. You know, I got all kinds of 4s.
We never wrote 4 like this ever. That's right.
4, yeah, we should have done the numerals because she's very big about everything. The numerals are 1.5 spaces. There's very precise, so there's no confusion. They use the clock face positions. Everything, we should have done them. Everything is very simple. Otherwise, you can mix up a 1 with an L. You know, it's all common sense. These were the most frequent mistakes. So everybody watch out for the underscore. Watch out if you're doing the old-fashioned W's, right? Height of the letter. And then we were getting some, or we would get some letters. One word, we would get one word, would be the right size. So watch it, because if you're teaching, oops, that slipped of the line. So that would be, and then the next phonogram was 2 spaces like this, right? Just would go from huge. So you have to be really careful, because if a child sees that, they're going to get really confused. So you as parents really get those phonogram letter forms right. Those were the typical mistakes. So before a break, too, I just wanted to go over the common mistakes. I will complete that and give it back to you. I call it the measles report. Because what you see, you get your paper. I have one here. And depending on how red it is, it's how bad the measles are. And you can see this. I just want to do this quickly, and then I thought, oh my God, you know, like technically 10 minutes per page. And then the other thing I do is I put the letters that were wrong for correction, so that we right away catch it. So we have here Garangas. He has a bad case of the measles right now. It's okay. But you can see, I mean, this needs a lot of work, and I want to do this tonight. I want to do this tonight and finish, because this is the only record I have of what your present skill level is. And you can see, you can really appreciate what teachers go through after school, how much time it is. I mean, I would be grading Bhakti Shastri, and I would be spending 8 to 12 hours on one set of homework. And Prashanta will say, "What's taking you so long?" And well, I'm doing my best, you know. But you know, I was just like, okay, so one more motivational thing about handwriting, because I want to stress what Betty Edwards asked. How many in here would like to have better handwriting? She asked this question. How many in here would like to have better handwriting? She says, I ask this of every art group I get, and every hand goes up. Yet most people did not have a prescribed handwriting system to learn. They didn't know. They weren't taught. So I brought along a couple of motivational things for you. Now, when I grew up, I was sharing that with Radharani before we walked into the class. There was a traditional script in America. Every teacher did the same thing. Every student wrote exactly the same way. And then later it was stopped. And one of my students from Nepal worked in a jewelry store in New York. And he said, all the ladies that came in your age group wrote the same. I could read their signatures. And the younger ones came in, we couldn't read their names on the checks. Something happened. It just collapsed overnight. Now I'm going to pass around. I brought a lot of things today, motivational things, because it's just so little time. But I just wanted to share really special things today. The Prabhupada's method. This is my own little notebook. I use it to keep record of the things. I have this one girl knitting for my deities, and I keep track. And in the back of the little notebook, I keep a list of addresses. Now, oh yeah, we don't want to lose this. And I just want to pass it around to let you see, if you think, and this is how we were all taught to write, if you think this is attractive. Now, and it's just the normal way I write. So we'll start with Anita. and you can just pass this around and pass it around to everybody. And you ask yourself if you think you would like students to turn in work that looked like that. Now that's how we all did it in school. We all wrote, and it was a penmanship class in the old days. And actually, Krishna Priya was writing like that when she came to visit the Gurukula one day with me. She had to sign in the registrar past the security man. And the guy watched her sign her name and he almost fell off his seat. So it can be done, but that's the point. Now that's Palmer. Other scripts are taught. I brought a sample of the Danielian, which Betty Edwards thinks is terrible. I agree. But you will see this in England, and you will see it in Australia. So if it's the national way to write, I'm afraid you're stuck. But I still believe you should know alternatives. This is what the Danielian looks like. I have references on everything. And it is a strange combination of print and script. And that's what she said. They'll use block letters and then half script and A's that just turn up a little bit. This happened to have been a book but this is Danielian. I just want you to get familiar with what's out there. This is Danielian. Betty Edwards says this is the low water mark of handwriting. Now, wow, writing competently. This is the book that says many professional writers taught themselves. What the Prabhupada said. In here, they've got it. When I read that, I thought, wow. They give this as an exercise. If the professionals do it, we can too.
Who's the author?
Handbook for Teachers, Writing Competently. Lots of exercises in there. Here's what we had when I grew up in school. Palmer, a little book on how to do the handwriting. Little exercise books. You can pass these around, take a look at this. The next book, I'm not going to pass it around. Guess why?
Pages.
You bet. When you see it. This book, when I was teaching this school 10, 12 years ago, was 1,000 rupees. This is all done by hand, not by hand. This book is so beautiful. The early monks used to sit in the monasteries and write out the books. There were no printing presses. They have put some of these books under microscopes, and they will see, because they illustrated them too, they will see lines under microscope that are naked, not visible to the naked eye. And they even claim that these monks must have been angels, because no human can see this. Only under microscope could they see some of the fine, like under the Book of Kells. So we have here from early Egyptian, and this book is amazing because they have everything in the book on tools and all of the writing styles and how they developed, and exactly how and you look at the pages, and they're just beautiful. I mean, perfect. They don't make mistakes because you have to do it over again. They just never made mistakes. And they would combine art forms. And then this is the 20th century where it's wires and it's really Kali Yuga. It's like in an art gallery, but this is real Kali Yuga. Nobody can write anymore. But they would take microscopes and look at these books, and you see colors in between the letters. The level of artistry is beyond, and they show you by color which stroke comes first, second, and third, and how to do it and with what kind of a pen. This is an amazing book. It teaches every one of the typefaces, Caroline, minuscules. And in here, the reason I brought this along is to also show you, there's a chart in the back. Look at this, even how to do in strokes the Roman, they only did the capitals. They shows them in exactly how subtle it is, how the pen turns and the different, it's a really beautiful book. And on the very back, they have a chart of the different forms. This guy's the author. He's the calligrapher that did all the samples, too. Just to show you that this is called copper plate. Now, copper plate is what you see in India. But it was originally designed, that's why I prefer Palmer, because it was designed for the fine pens that would create a thin and thick stroke according to the pressure. So you could tell an L, you know, from just a straight line because you press harder and then you release. Whereas a pencil will only make a uniform line. So when you see the R's the way you were making them, this is called copper plate. But through fancy wedding invitations, even on the computer they'll have copper plate. The reason I prefer Palmer was it was designed in America to create loops instead of these straight lines because it was a uniform tool, a pencil. But in India you see the copper plate, and it's very fancy, but it's beautiful. So you get to know the typefaces a little bit. Copper plate, Demilion, Palmer is what you see in my little book, the Palmer. And in the back here they have a brilliant chart in colors of the history of script, starting from here all the way down to copper plate. Right here, you can see that. Beautiful book. Very inspiring. Very inspiring. But I'm not going to pass it around. This was, I remember there was a book fair, and one of the teachers went to the book fair. I didn't go. And she saw this and she bought it for me. And she said, I'm giving you this book as a present. And I kept it because I knew if I'd have left it in school, it would have just disappeared. It would have disappeared. If not been who knows what. You know, I'm afraid I have held on to some books that were extremely valuable, and I knew I would use them in resources, and I still keep them, and I still refer people to them. But I just couldn't let some books just stay there. You know, this was one of them. Too valuable. Beautiful book. All this is done by hand. And they show a picture in there of one of the, remember I told you about this man who was the artist sitting at his desk doing copper plate. And you see his back is straight and how he's using an old-fashioned pen. This one? Oh, yes. The green one? The yellow one? Yellow, it's yellow, yeah, no problem. The handwriting? Yeah. I just want to show you whatever I tell you, I have references for it. I don't just make things up. Now what's happening on computer, not that long ago, calligraphers still are in demand. They're still in demand, but now the computer has taken over. But even computer forms have to be designed by someone. I can't find that picture offhand. But anyway, you have all these different, and you look at the early books, the scripts, they're just illustrated, subtle designs, craftsmanship beyond words. Craftsmanship beyond words. So beautiful. Okay, so now we'll take a break, and afterwards we're going to diagram. We're going to move right into how to analyze our sentences. So this was a little bit of a diversion from what I originally planned, but I wanted to give you some good ideas, looking for ways to compress the methods into as short as time as possible with the maximum results. So Spalding was always foundational for spelling and reading. But in terms of grammar, it starts to get to look a little abstract with lists of objectives, but we always met them. So we're going to use 3 or 4 different methods in combination. So we'll use the Spalding as our checklist. I'm getting another checklist photocopied for you. Maybe you already have it. I don't know. I didn't realize how much Srinat had given everybody. He was on top of it. He's amazing. We'll be using my own little method, just like the cookie recipe. Never ever have I seen color used as a classifier. I just automatically did it, and we taught part of speech immediately. We used I call it rainbow grammar. We'll be using visual grammar. We'll put on a set of eyes here. This is the diagramming method. She calls it visual grammar. This used to be done in America when I was growing up in the 50s and the 60s. It was standard. And as you read in the book, Irma had sent me this book, it was dropped after that. Students could not do grammar well, and it was resurrected because it was so effective. So we'll be combining the objectives, pace and scope for Spalding, with ways to make it even faster and simpler, my own method of rainbow grammar, and the old-fashioned diagramming, which I call it the blueprint of the thought. It's like an architectural ground elevation plan. One can automatically see the parts of speech, where they belong, relationships in the sentence. He gets what we call the blueprint of an idea, answering those questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how in diagrammatic form. And then the other thing I would do, I always kept, no matter what the book school required in terms of a textbook, you can take whatever textbook you like. You can just use either the school text. I happen to have one that had come from Australia. That way you're meeting everybody's objectives. And when I was training my teachers in the Gurukula, we would have a huge double-page sheet, and we would have parallel tracks of, well, what's Spalding expecting of us? What's our own little method? What's the diagramming method? What's the school expecting of us? That we made sure that there were no loopholes. Everything was covered. So you don't have to say either or. You just satisfy everybody. But you have your ground plan. Actually, these two are my ground plan. I use Spalding for the objectives, the syllabus, and then the school text I often found were highly deficient. They were not systematic, they were not clear, and we just did it for the sake of satisfying the syllabus. But I did not find them systematic. Any other program that came in after a while, I'd look at them, I wasn't inspired. But we did it. We just ran the track along just to satisfy somebody. And basically, their understanding came from the other methods. Pace came from this, understanding came from these two. Remember that one thing Wilkinson said, don't let school stand in the way of your education. Sometimes the programs are not really good. And you can tell because there'll be turnover in the systems. Oh, let's try this series. Oh, let's try this series. Let's try that series. That's an indicator that they're not working. Okay? Anybody that ever tried Spalding never gave it up. So, change means experiment. I don't know. It's not a healthy sign, really. Sorry I had to raise my voice, but I'm sorry. But in the old days, when I was in school, children were expected to behave under all circumstances. We used to have to take our children to museums. We used to have to take them to the symphonies. We did not want to inflict poor behavior on the innocent public. We did not come here to cause these people grief. They have gone out of their way to facilitate us, and the last thing I want them to do is say, I'm glad they're gone. And I don't care how hard I have to raise my voice to get that message through your heads. We are guests. So everybody got an idea of how you go about it? Combine your methods, make parallel tracks, and see what you can glean the best from everything. Okay, and see where things overlap. We could often see where methods were overlapping, no loopholes. And maybe we would pick up something from a book like this. Maybe there was something good in it, something clever. But I never found any of these books to be the fundamental system. They just didn't make it. Okay, everybody got that wheel? So we have passed out the little Spalding, a little green set. Maybe you already had these. I didn't realize Sri Ananta was so thorough. I had this photocopied, which is just the scope. It doesn't give you the pace of what it is you have to cover. And it's a good checklist you can go through. And I'm having another set photocopied. Sean first said they'll be ready tomorrow. It's just from another language arts series. I can't remember which one it was. But it showed you from K through 3 and 3 through 6 and then 6 up through 8. And it just had a checklist of all kinds of attainments, whether it was library skills, research skills, thinking skills, and at what level. Should I do this at K through 1 or 3 through 6 or 7 through 8, and it's a checklist for you. And you can see what it is I should be, what should my child know? He should know how to check a dictionary, how to look for the references on the top. He should know how to make graphs, critical thinking skills. This is all for language. He should know prefixes, suffixes, root words. He should know what's a metaphor, what's a simile, what's onomatopoeia, what's hyperbole. He should know all those things. He should not only know them, he should know how to use them. So it's, that's coming for you. Maybe you have it. I don't know. I was amazed to see how much Sri Ananta had given you. And perhaps it's already in there. But it was from another, I can't remember which language arts program. There were many in the school. They would come and go. So now we're going to learn the symbols for color coding first. Okay? So you'll need either your colored pencils or markers. And I don't think I have this in flip chart form. I had done it for pathways, but I don't have it large for you. And the marker system here doesn't include all the colors. So I will just make the wheel for now. There are 8 parts of speech. So we're going to add 1 spoke. We're going to pass. This is for your rainbow grammar. Rainbow grammar. I've often thought it would be very nice to do a little book like this in which each page was printed in a different color and all the words that were nouns stood out. We could take I've thought about that, just taking a passage from the Krishna book or something like that. And on one page all the nouns are red and all the verbs are blue on another, and then on the last page you see all the words in a different color. Just something simple. And then just defining. Because when it comes to grammar, now you need to be a little bit technical, right? You need to know terminology. So I cannot show colors here. We just don't really have all the colors. We'll have to just name them, and then on your paper, do these in color. All right? Please do your wheel in color. Now we're going to start, I'll put R for red. So on your wheel, use your red. You should use straight red. You have magic markers with you? Do you all have a full set or colored pencils? You should have the proper color. So everyone get out your red pencil or your red magic marker. And unfortunately, I cannot do this on the board. Okay. This will be your color. R is for red. So on your wheel, show that. Because one of my private students, older girl in junior high, she came to me and we actually mind mapped the whole little grammar book, and we did all the parts in color, each branch, all the sub-branches, so that the whole book was the whole grammar thing coded. All the points about nouns, all the points about verbs, all the points about pronouns, everything. Each branch had everything that was in the book was on her mind map. And she had a single mind map that gave her a complete overview of parts of speech. So you all have your red out, your red pencils. Okay, R is the we'll just do the colors first. We go easy first. R is for nouns. Every word that is a noun we will indicate in red. Now we start with nouns because it is the most frequent. Anything that is in existence has a name, whether it's visible or invisible. Even an abstract concept has a name. Everything has a name, and N stands for name. Whether we're talking about a pen or ether. Whether we're talking about a person or we're talking about a concept such as philosophy. Everything has a name. And when that thing is named, we use red. Red stands for naming, stands for the word noun. So everyone say the word noun?
Noun.
All right. And what color will we use?
Red.
Red. And we also starting with the primary colors, red, blue, yellow. We're starting with the primaries. We did this very systematically. What do you see the most? Red for now. Everything has a name. I don't care what it is. Let's do some samples in here. Look around the room and name something, all right? I will name garland. All right, Anita, can you name something in the room?
Chair.
Chair. All right, Nityananda. Book. Radharani.
Table.
Table.
Photo frame.
Photo frame.
Bottle.
Bottle.
Air conditioner.
Air conditioner. We'll come up this way.
Slate.
Slate.
Curtain.
Curtain.
Pen.
Pen.
This one.
Okay?
Airport.
No, in this room, in this room.
What can you see? Bag.
Bag. Okay?
Pencil.
Pencil.
Wall.
Board and
Board.
paper.
Okay?
Wall.
Wall.
This.
Name it. Camera.
Eraser.
Eraser.
Table.
Table.
Sound. Sound
Sound.
system.
Sound system. All right. Something not concrete for starters. Okay?
Teacher.
Teacher. Okay. Now let's name qualities. Right? Emotions. Happy, sad, tired, sleepy. Let's start to name emotions.
Tired.
Tired. Okay? Emotions, how people feel.
Nice. Tired.
She said tired, something else.
Happy.
Happy?
Crying.
Crying? Sad.
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 Love.
Loved.
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
Cool. Cold.
Cold. All right.
Excited.
Excited.
Sad.
Upset. I bet you are. Hot? Okay. Eager?
Bored.
Scared.
Okay.
Scared.
Scared?
Amused.
Amused?
Angry.
Angry?
Surprised.
Surprised?
Boring.
Boring?
Honest.
Honest?
Melancholy.
Melancholy. Okay. Melancholy. Okay, so you see qualities. These are aspects of the mind. Others aspects of the concrete world, the senses. The sense perception. Concrete, the mind, subtle. All right, so everything has a name. And everything that has a name is in red. The next thing we use is yellow. Yellow is one of the primary colors. Red, yellow, blue. And we use this for words that take the place of a noun. Right?
Pronoun.
Pronouns, exactly. P for pronouns. Pronouns. These are words that replace a noun. Instead of a person's name, we may use the word you, or he, or she, or if it's a thing, it, or if it's a collective, we, or if it's objective form, us, him, her. There are actually many categories of pronouns. Surprisingly, one of the biggest. There are about 7 or 8 classifications of pronouns.
Personal and
Many, many types of pronouns. Reflexive and objective and nominative. And pronouns very complex. Possessive. Many forms of pronouns.
Demonstrative.
Demonstrative, very good. Many types of pronouns.
Personal.
Many types of pronouns. Okay? So yellow, whenever we see a pronoun, it's yellow. We either underline it, or if we're writing out the word, we write the word in yellow. Okay? But for most things, we'll take books and underline. You know, when we write out a passage, and if they're writing out passages from the Krishna book, they go back and they underline all the parts of speech. So you see how everything's completely integrated. Phonograms, grammar, everything is covered. No matter what you do. That way you never feel you're wasting time. It's not, then you try to teach something separately, chop, 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 no connection. You could build your whole life on the Krishna book, philosophy, that, underline things in color, everything, diagrams, sentences, you've got it all. And at a much higher level than if they just went through a book and saw it all in a separate fashion. I'm convinced of that. Okay, next we're going to use the primary color blue. All right, this will be dark blue, straight blue, right? And blue, this is for the part of speech known as verbs. Verbs, okay? Verbs. There are 2 kinds. There are those that show action and those that show state of being. 2 kinds. Action. So they either show action or state of being. Radharani is merciful. She's not doing anything in this sentence. We can say she cooks sweets. But there's no action when we say she is merciful. It's a quality. That's all. It's a state. It's either verbs either show action or they show being. Now perhaps some of you already know this, but I suspect some of you may not. How new is this for some people? Is this new information for some people, or everybody knows this already? You know all this. Okay. Then all we're really doing is assigning the color, because I wasn't sure. Maybe some people don't know. All right, the next logical step is to take a color, and if we add white to a color, we get a tint. So if I add white to red, I get pink. All right. So pink. And we use this for modifiers. Words that add meaning or they make a specific meaning. In other words, they modify. It means it gives a very specific meaning to something. Describe. Describe or modify. Or a number, such as the 5 Pandavas. 5. So pink is a modification of red, and any words that modify nouns, we made those pink. And those are called adjectives. You add meaning. Adjectives. Adjectives. So already, red for nouns, yellow for pronouns, blue for verbs of either kind, either being or active. Pink for adjectives. They are words that modify or describe nouns or pronouns. Okay. The next color we modify is blue. If I add white to blue, I get a light blue. Right. So you can either use your turquoise pencil, color pencil, or turquoise pen. So light blue for add verbs. Right? They add meaning to verbs. Adverbs are a little bit more complicated than adjectives. Adjectives will modify only nouns or pronouns, but adverbs can modify verbs, adverbs, or adjectives. 3 things. They either can modify a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. He walks too slowly, right? He walks slowly, that's an adverb. How slowly? Too slowly. So adverbs can add meaning, describe a verb. Like he walks slowly, slowly is telling you how he walks. Too slowly is modifying the adverb. So they have 3 jobs. They either modify verbs, adverbs, or adjectives, right? You could say, the sabji is too spicy, right? Spicy is an adjective here, but it's too spicy. I can't eat something too hot. Or you say that the temperature is too cold. Or you say it is very difficult. Something is difficult, but it is very difficult. So there you have an adverb adding meaning to an adjective. So it can modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. 3 things here. Adjectives, 2. Either nouns or pronouns. Okay? All right, so Pranav, what's red for?
Nouns.
Nouns. Okay, and Sarvagya, what is yellow for?
Pronouns.
Okay, and Tanvi, what is blue for?
Verbs.
And what kinds?
Action and being.
Action and being, okay? And Bal, what are adjectives marked with?
Pink.
Pink. All right? And Raghava, what do we do for adverbs? What color will we show that?
Blue.
Which blue?
Light.
Light blue or turquoise, depending on what color you have. Sometimes it's a little different, okay? Our next color, another major part of speech. You want to guess what's next? Green. Now we have 2 kinds of green. Light green and dark green. So we have to put 2 here. So we have light green. And do you all have 2 kinds of green in whatever set you have? Usually your color sets, if you get more than 8, you'll get 2 blues, you'll get a pink, you'll usually get 2 greens. Dark green. Okay, the color code, light green is for joining words, words that join. Conjunctions. Conjunctions. Now conjunctions are of 2 kinds. That is why we give 2 colors. The light green are for coordinate. This is getting technical, but I think all of you are up to speed. This means that both sides, like a balance, have equal weight. Coordinate. And there are 4 only. And, but, or, and nor. Whatever's on either side of those words has equal importance. The conjunction either means similarity or dissimilarity, or choice. What do you want, a Rasgula or a Sandesh? Choice. Right? Krishna and Balaram. Similarity. Dissimilarity, yellow, but also blue. You're showing contrast. We had Trinavarta, but he met his death. He tried to kill Krishna, but what happened? The opposite. Dissimilarity. He met his death. Contrast. So the conjunctions that are coordinate, and sometimes the word yet is also used as a coordinate. But basically, and, or, but, nor. Those are the coordinate conjunctions. Light green. Anytime you see and, but, or, nor, make it light green, or you underline it. Now this becomes quite easy. Okay. Dark green. Now this starts to get into higher thinking, higher order sentences. Co means equal. Sub means less. If you have a submarine, it goes below the water, right? If you have someone who's a subordinate at the office, it means he's under somebody else. Someone else has a superior position. In the material world, everybody is insubordinate to Krishna. They don't want to obey Krishna. Disobedient. So there are two kinds of conjunctions, coordinate and subordinate. Subordinate. These make for actually more evolved sentence writing. If the child can handle the subordinates, he's a better writer. We start them on coordinates, but the subordinates are not that hard once they're understood. It means they introduce in an idea that's incomplete without a main idea. Okay. And I'll give you an example. A subordinate conjunction will start a phrase that's incomplete and you'll be waiting for more. So I'll give you an example and see if you're waiting for me to finish. That means it's a subordinate conjunction. Because we are guests in the hospice. Are you waiting to hear the rest? Yes. That phrase is dependent on more information. It's dependent on a main idea, on an independent statement. This statement is dependent. It cannot stand alone. We're waiting to hear the rest. Because we are guests in the hospice, we must behave properly. All right? So the word because is a subordinate conjunction. It connects to a main idea, but it introduces a lesser idea. We can say, we must be quiet in the hospice. That's enough. But if we say, because we are guests, that idea is dependent on the main idea. By itself, it will not stand. I'll give you another subordinate. If it is too cold in here, can someone finish the sentence? Who would like to add?
Then we will go to Bombay.
Then we can go to Bombay, all right? That was a sentence. Okay, what's your answer? Wear a sweater. If it is too cold in here, Anita, how would you finish a sentence like that?
You would switch a warm heater.
Switch on the warm heater? How would you finish if it is too cold in here? Wear a shawl. If it's too cold in here, wear a shawl. You see, the whole thing is quite logical. If you start with a subordinate conjunction, which introduces a dependent clause, then more has to be provided. And it can be whatever you want to say. All right, Bal, if it is too cold in here,
Use hot water for taking bath.
use hot water for taking a bath. You see, it's quite logical. All right? If a lizard crawls along the wall,
We move away from that place.
we move away from the place. All right? When your teacher gets angry, whenever your teacher gets angry, you should say sorry. Okay?
Get scared.
You get scared. Prayed in the Shringadeve. I told you I was half in the Shringadeve. You better be careful. You have to pray in the Shringadeve, huh? All right. Let's think of another subordinate conjunction. Since last Monday,
I was learning I was learning with you.
Okay, you see how easy it is? Is that so difficult? No. Subordinate conjunction is a very advanced concept, but really easy if you just realize what they do. They start off an idea that needs more information.
Lights go off.
Yeah, whenever the lights go off, we turn on the generator, okay? So you see, it's logical. It's logical. And we use dark green for those. Words like since, if, because, whenever, when. You'll see them. They're called subordinate conjunctions. And they will introduce a clause that will not stand by itself. More information has to be provided. And the kids were doing it automatically. Nobody had any trouble. It's logical thinking. If then.
So there are two types of conjunctions.
Yes, coordinate,
And
subordinate. Light green,
Give us some examples of coordinated.
coordinate, Krishna and Balaram. And.
but or no. Yeah.
Or an or. Trinavarta tried to kill Krishna, but he met his own death instead. Those are easy to spot. And, but, or, and or. And they will not be anything else. Right? Nouns can be verbs. The cook likes to cook chapatis. One time he's a verb, noun, and another time he's a verb. But these will not change their designation. And, but, or, and or will not be nouns. They won't be verbs. They won't be adjectives or adverbs. These subordinate conjunctions, they will have their same fixed designation. Everybody clear on the colors so far? Red for nouns, yellow for pronouns, blue for verbs, pink for adjectives, light blue for adverbs, light green for conjunctions, dark green for subordinate. Okay? PP, purple, prepositions. Purple, prepositions. Now, even though you know the parts of speech, I'm trying to give a very simple, practical example for everybody, for the sake of the students, and also for you, to explain it, perhaps more simply, to your own student or other people, if you're going to go back and teach a whole class of people. You may. Purple for prepositions. Now, you always look for the root word here. We saw here the word add, and we saw the word add to verbs. And here we have the word position, right? Position means location, place. And what does the word pre mean?
Before.
Early,
Before. In Hindi, what do they call it? Post position. Why? Who knows? Why do we call it prepositions in English and postpositions in Hindi? No. In Hindi, the term for any word that's a relationship word is called a postposition. Is that not right?
No, I don't.
Postpositions. Why? And why in English we call them preposition? Because in Hindi and in Sanskrit, it goes after. How do you say in the temple in Hindi? It goes after.
Right.
And in English, when do you say?
In the temple.
In the temple. Prep, before.
Correct.
It comes after. And Sanskrit is built into the word. It's part of the word. It's part of the declension. It's built into the word. Hindi is separate. Sanskrit, they change the word itself so that you get all of these different declensions of a word. So Sanskrit looks more complicated, but actually they all do the same thing, but just in a different form. You have to say the same thing. So it's a preposition. And position means place. It shows you where something is. Relationship. Ball, What did I just say? That's what happens when we're inattentive. We lose out. Do you know this? Do you know this thoroughly? Then you just lost out. Right? That's what happens when you lose out. Okay? Unless you're thoroughly knowledgeable, and even if you're thoroughly knowledgeable, you should still be attentive because you may get a different angle of understanding. Okay? I don't think there's anybody in here that's a complete master in grammar, is there? You wouldn't be here. You'd be teaching somewhere. So pay attention. Okay? So let's show an example of prepositions. I always like to do this little story. Okay? The prepositions show the relationship between two words. And that those two words can either be nouns and nouns, or either a noun and a noun, relationship, right? Or a verb and a noun. And I always gave this little story. Are we ready? We make a tree. You can draw a little tree. Okay, did everybody draw a tree? Draw your little tree. Now we're going to make a little bird. He's way over here. He's zooming in. And we are going to show, by just changing the preposition, relationship, okay, between a verb and the noun tree. Okay, so our noun will be tree. The verb would be flew. That's what a bird does. Does a bird fly, Nityananda? So the verb is fly. And the noun is tree. Now we want to change the relationship, which is the position, by changing the preposition. Let's try some sentences. I'll start it out and then we'll go around the room. There are many prepositions. Many prepositions. I'll give one. The little bird flew near the tree. So the position is what? Near. He flew near the tree. It shows the relationship between the verb flew and the noun tree. Okay, Anita? Can you change the preposition and it'll change the whole meaning? Think of another preposition.
The brown cat.
No, just with bird.
Just this
Just
one.
with bird and tree. Just change your
Bird and tree,
preposition.
that's it.
Yeah, the bird flew. Just change the preposition.
On
The
the
bird landed.
No,
on
just
the-
flew. Just flew.
bird
Yeah, we're just changing one thing to show you the power of the preposition.
So the bird remains the same.
The bird remains the same, tree remains the same. By changing the preposition, we change the position. Where else could the bird?
The bird flew near the tree,
I gave that one.
on the tree.
The bird flew on the tree, okay? Next one. The bird flew across the tree.
Towards the tree.
The bird flew towards the tree.
Around the tree.
The bird flew around the tree.
beside the
Bird flew above the
The bird flew above the tree. The bird flew beside the tree.
The bird flew towards the tree.
Okay, someone gave that, towards the tree.
The bird flew over the tree.
The bird flew over the tree.
The bird flew below the tree.
Below the tree.
upon
The bird flew on the tree.
The bird flew on the tree. I think we had that one, Ramesh?
upon
Upon the tree. Any more?
The bird flew above the
I think we had, how about through the tree? Sometimes they go through the tree. Okay.
The bird flew
Through the tree.
The bird flew off the tree.
He flew off the tree, okay?
The bird flew besides the tree.
The bird flew beside the tree.
The bird is under the tree.
The verb, well, you change the verb on this, that's unfair. No, you can only change the preposition. We're trying to isolate.
What is
The bird flew under the tree.
the bird flew between the trees?
You drew between the tree. That must be the twin Arjuna trees, right? That's the only way that's possible. Does that help with the concept? You see the concept? You change the verb. You don't change the verb. You don't change the noun. You change the preposition, and you change the position, the relationship. Now that's with a noun and a verb. You have one
The
more?
bird flew at the branch of the tree.
He added some more meaning. At the tree. You could say he flew at the tree. He was really coming in like a, okay?
The bird flew off the tree.
He flew off the tree, all right? Good, Arvika?
The bird flew in front of the tree.
There's another one in front of the tree, okay?
The bird flew over the tree.
He flew over the tree,
The bird flew back of the tree.
in the back of the tree, behind the tree. Yes, you got it. You see by preposition, what happened? The position of the bird changed. Yes.
The bird flew out of the tree.
He flew out of the tree. Very good. So by changing the preposition, I changed the position and the relationship between a noun. You still have more? Okay, Nityananda?
The bird flew front of the tree.
In front of the tree, right. Oh, it's very good. Very good.
Inside the tree.
In front of the tree. Is everybody clear? I think they got the idea now. It's clear now, right? Was it ever that clear before? Very simple. Very simple. Now, let's show a relationship between a noun and a noun. Okay? Let's try pen and table. The pen, which one?
The pen is on the table.
Just say the pen on the table, right?
On the table.
No verb here. Just noun and noun. The pen,
The pen under the table.
the pen under the table.
The pen between the table.
Above
The table above the table, okay?
The pen below the table.
The pen below the table, okay?
The pen behind the table.
The pen behind the table.
Beside the
The pen
pen.
beside the table.
Yeah.
The pen near the table.
Inside the table.
The pen beside the table.
The pen is by the table.
No verb, just the pen by the table. We're leaving the verb out. So it either shows relationship between noun and noun or verb and noun. Clear? Easy? Very. And we mark those in purple. And other ones would be like the lady with the hat, the lady in the hat.
The pen front of the table.
The pen in front of the table. Yeah, he really gets into prepositions. I think this is your expertise here. Nityananda preposition ki jai. Yes, Ganranga?
The pen is down the table.
The pen down the table? Underneath would be good. Underneath.
Or below.
Below. Very good. Got the idea? Hard?
Miss got his hand up first.
Who else?
Pen is inside the table.
The pen inside the table. That could be. It could have a shelf. Very good. He thought of one. See? He finally decided to show his colors here. He's been hiding his skills. All right? Clear now? Prepositions? Is this very difficult? No, the whole idea is to try to make a concept that starts to get very convoluted in a grammar book crystal clear. Because it's a fact. You read all the definitions and and by the time you're done, you're more confused than when you started. And you think, why did I trouble myself with this? Is it not true? And then they underline them with pencil and 2 lines for this, and then you're supposed to put prep over this, and then it's a nightmare. I know, I've been through it. Yes.
The pen is across the table.
The pen across the table. Okay. Our last one. Ready? Interjections. Orange. Orange. O. And O is an interjection. Oh! That was a nice idea. Oh! Think of the word. Interjection. Analyze the word. Be thinkers. Remember, we're not a bunch of parrots in here. That's the last thing we want to be, is a flock of green parrots. Has everyone gone to the doctor and had an injection?
Yes.
Yes, I sure did. You had to have an injection before they operated. They put an
Injection.
injection, right? Usually means to go in or under or between. Right? Inter. Something that comes in between. An interjection is a word that breaks the flow of a sentence. It has no grammatical part. It's not necessary. And it usually shows strong feeling. Oh, so the word oh. Oh, Krishna. You can just say Krishna. You don't need to have the interjection. It has no part. It's even shown above a diagram. No necessity. Or you can say, you see in the Gita, alas, behold, O scion of Bharat, behold, alas. Or you see interjections are always slang. Wow. Far out.
Cool.
Great. It's just a word that shows strong feeling. Not necessary, but there. So we will show those in orange, because orange is a very strong color, isn't it? Bright orange is considered a strong color. So everybody got the rainbow now? Gets pretty easy, huh?
Oh, this is so nice class.
Oh, very good. Right, you can say, wow. Yes, very good.
What a nice verse.
Well, that's an exclamatory sentence. But an interjection will be a word by itself, like, wow. Okay. So now, what you do with this, and this is where the little red book came in handy for beginners. Most of you are really past this. You can take a sentence from the Krishna book. I'll write a sentence on the board, a short one, okay? Or I'll maybe just take a simple sloka. Yes?
Oh, my pencil is gone.
Oh, my pencil is gone. He's got one. Very good. Okay. Do you want to give me the Krishna book again so they can see it applied, because they're going to be using the Krishna book? Very good. The first chapter. We'll take the title. Are we ready? What's the first title? Everyone? The what? Advent
Of
Is it of the Lord? Nouns. You should, if you can write this in your book. You can write it in a pen or pencil. Write this out, the Advent of Lord Krishna. Because that's what we did. We started with the titles first. You build it up so it gets to be repetitious after a while, and then you've got that one. Okay, do you see any nouns in this? Something that names someone? Any nouns?
Krishna.
Krishna is a noun. Very good. Krishna is a noun. Actually, even an Advent is a noun. Very good. Most people wouldn't catch it. So underline Advent and underline Krishna, and also you may underline Lord. That can be questionable. You may want to say that's an adjective, but this is the full title, Lord Krishna. So we say Advent, underline that in red, and underline Lord in red, and underline Krishna in red. We have 3 nouns here. So we have 3 red underlines. You just do this with everything. You do this with whatever they write out. You can take the little Aesop's book, you could take the geography books. That's what I did with this little 1,000-word dictionary book for starters. We underlined every part of speech. Okay? All right, what's the word the?
Article.
It's an article, and that's a category of what? Adjectives. So what color are adjectives?
Pink.
So what color will we underline the?
Pink.
Wow. And every time you see the word the, all you have to do is go through the page, mark all of them. There will be hundreds. Pink. Article, adjective, the. And there are two kinds of adjectives, definite and indefinite articles. This is definite. It means specifically. The pen. If I say a pen or an apple, it could be anyone. The is a definite article, adjective, specific. All right? How about the word of? What's of? Preposition, very good. It shows the relationship of Advent and who? Who's Advent? Lord Krishna. The advent of, and of is always a preposition. Always. So what color is that?
Purple.
Purple. Purple prepositions. Pretty easy. What do you think, Anita? Simple. Very simple. Automatically. And it just starts to show up the way phonograms do. You look at something, and there the colors stand out. And what we used to do with the boys, we would take a shloka, and each word was written out in that color. So they brought out the word pink, the, Advent, red, purple, a rainbow. That's what we called it, rainbow grammar. Quite attractive. Every day we did a shloka. And then we diagrammed it. Okay? Let's take one more title. Uh-oh, pages. You know, I think I have completely failed this course. I have not seen anybody remember to turn the pages properly. And that was our first premise. So I haven't made it. Okay? Here's chapter. Put my glasses on. Krishna pleases his devotees. We have a sentence title here. So we'll write this one. This is a good one. Krishna pleases his devotees. So please write that out. You can write that out in black first for starters. Later you'll be so good you won't even bother with the black. You'll just Krishna pleases his devotees. We'll just do one more and then we'll give you the diagramming secrets. Diagramming is just as easy as this one. It looks complicated, but it's not. You learn the parts, just like we learned the parts of the clock face letter and the symbols. You learn all the architectural features. When a person's an architect, he learns how to show stairways, he learns how to represent doors, how to represent windows in his blueprint, right? Elevation plan for whatever. Same way with it. When you learn diagramming, you learn the symbol for what to do. All right, do we see any nouns here? Krishna is a noun. And devotees, that's a noun. Very good. So underline both of those in what color? Red. Very good. Is this seeming very easy now? You understand the idea? That's all you have to do. You know the colors? And if you study your little grammar books, you'll know what are the adjectives, and you'll know what the adverbs are, and you'll spot the prepositions and the conjunctions. It couldn't be, I couldn't be easier. I do think I need to write a little book on this because it's never been done.
While you're talking, I can, just hear these boys and their various questions. This thing the last time. Difficult to explain to them. Mataji, what is, why do we like C and why do we like A?
So now you can answer the question, right? So now you'll be able to do grammar after a couple of days. Instead of years and years. I've seen the books. They take years to explain it, and the children still don't understand it.
Because some of the 10th and 12th graders.
So our 4th and 5th graders were doing better than the upper grades. They were using this method. They knew their grammar better than the older boys. No doubt about it. Krishna and devotees. All right? What's the word his?
Pronoun.
Pronoun. Very good. It's a possessive pronoun. What color, Rasika? What color is a pronoun? Rasika has to answer. Look at your wheel. Check. If you don't know, look. What color are the pronouns? I know it's a bit tough today, and you've had to see me scream, but the point is we've got to get a lot done. Speak in a full sentence. The pronoun is yellow in color. Isn't that a much better way to speak? If you say yellow, we don't know what you're talking about. Yellow curtains, yellow chowder. Make the children speak in full sentences, please. I had to work so hard. Otherwise, they'll just sit there and give you a one-word answer. You're doing all the work, and they're not articulating. That was perfect. Don't bother your mother. She's fine. And no paper airplanes. Your mom's doing great. She doesn't need to be. Okay. All right, we have 2 red, 1 yellow, and what's this word? Verb. And what color?
Blue.
Which kind?
Dark.
Dark blue. Okay. Krishna pleases his devotees. Very good.
This would be an action verb.
Action. Right. Very good. Action. And in this case, transitive, because the action is passed on to an object. We can get into a lot of fine points, but for now we'll keep it simple. Okay. Does this sound easier than what you were trying before? Yeah. Rainbow grammar. For some reason, I never saw anybody else do this. I don't know why. It seems to be so obvious. Okay, here we go. Super Soul helped us out. Now, are we ready for diagramming? This is what you've all been waiting for. It's almost 5 o'clock. It's the end of the day. The kids are tired. They're ready to run out the door. But here you've been waiting for this such a long time.
How much time would that take on January? So I just want to.
You have to go? Well, we'll go as fast as we can for Anita, okay? She's been waiting for diagramming. This is called visual grammar. This is really fun. It is fun. The kids really liked it. Visual grammar. Here are your parts. You're going to learn the parts, just like we learned the parts of the letters: circle, tall straight line, short straight line. Are you ready? The first thing. Guess what? Straight line. That's the floor plan. Okay? Floor plan. Next. Check this out. Tell me if this looks hard. Does that look hard? Everybody can do this? Can you all draw this? A straight line. Everybody can draw a straight line? Okay. Can everybody draw a bisected line that goes all the way through? Okay. How about this? Can everybody drop a perpendicular line? This sounds to start like geometry now. Everybody can do that? Yes, because the thing is, we expose people to the parts before we tell them. You master the parts, then when you tell them, it's not overload. Okay, can everybody do this? There's a slanted line there. Everybody got that one? Anybody here cannot do that? Everybody can draw a straight line? Everybody can bisect a line? Can everybody drop a perpendicular? Can everybody draw a slanted line? Sounds good? Okay. Can everybody do this? Slanted below the line? Everybody can do that? So far? Anything tough?
Yes.
Okay, this is so easy. You're going to roll off your chair. It looked terrible in that book. It is not. Somebody just has to give you the key. And then you open the door. Okay, how about this? Can everybody make a broken line? Okay? Are you okay there, Nityananda? It looks like he's having a fit. Oh, he's drawing it. Okay, put it down so I can see you. Okay. So far, straight line, bisect the line, perpendicular, slanted line, below the slanted line below. Okay, all right, let's try. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't want overload. We've got this so far. We're going to show you some more now. I actually had, I don't know where to find it, but I had a page I handed all the kids that had every single architectural feature on it. It must be about 25, and God, I don't know where that is now. I just couldn't find that one right away. Okay, some more? We're going to learn some more. These are your architectural symbols, your vocabulary. Super, you did them all. Straight line, bisect a line, perpendicular, slanted line, and broken line. Okay, here's another feature. You ready for this one? And anybody, this is getting a little harder now. Can you do that one? Anybody have a tough time with that? Okay, not so bad. All right, let's try one more. This is going to be a little harder. Looks like a pencil point with a broken line. Anybody can do that? So far? So good. Let's try this now. Can you do that? So far, so good? Okay. This one's like Egyptian. This is a little tough. It looks like a bird. Okay, you make 2 little feet, his legs, right? Straight line, and his neck and body. I'll do that bigger. Okay? Make 2 little feet, like he's standing on his 2 little feet. You make his body, right? And then you make his head with his neck. Looks like, I call it the bird. That one's the only hard one. Good. Okay. I think there's one more I'll have to refer to. Oh, okay. So let us get you started. And tomorrow we'll go on a little more because Anita has to go to a meeting. I just want you to see how easy this is. A sentence. This is the ground floor. Okay, you did that. You break it in half. This is what the sentence is about. It's called the subject. And what the subject does is called the predicate. Everything that belongs to the subject is on this side of the wall. And everything that belongs to what the subject does is on that side of the wall. This is the subject side. This is the predicate side. So if we say Krishna, that's the subject. Dances. That's the verb, right? Subject goes here, verb goes there. Now, let's describe Krishna. Any words that describe go underneath at an angle. So we can say, we can just say, keep it one word, keep it simple, okay? Beautiful. Beautiful. beautiful, make sure your line is big enough for the word. Beautiful Krishna dances, now that's a verb, so let's think of an adverb to tell how he dances.
Gracefully.
Gracefully, okay. Gracefully. So what do we have here? A noun, a verb, an adjective, and an adverb. All ready. Now we're going to add, remember we did one that was like this? Remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to make a prepositional phrase, because this is for prepositional phrase, and it'll tell us where. In the forest. In is the preposition. It goes on the slant. Forest is the noun. Object of the preposition. And the is the article adjective that describes forest. And you can add as much to it as you want. You could say, Krishna, beautiful Krishna dances gracefully in the night forest, whatever, in the dark forest. You see? So here, in,
Where will dark come in?
hmm?
Where will dark
Below forest.
Dark would go under forest.
Suppose you say in the forest of Vrindavan, then they will.
In the forest of Vrindavan, then you would add more. Of Vrindavan.
So it will all come below.
Yes,
Okay.
more on it. You just build it on where it goes.
Vrindavan will come in the straight line.
Yes, that's the noun, object of the preposition.
Yeah.
The preposition is the
So it
slanted
comes
line.
straight.
Yeah,
So always adjectives and adverbs come on a slant.
always. Any modifier is slanted. Okay?
So how would you do that? Would extend the lines.
Yes, you need to make,
Forest
yes.
line would go ahead.
Would go there, right. You need to move across the page. If you have a very long sentence, you have to accommodate on your chart. Some diagrams can fill up a whole sheet of paper, as you saw in your book. The bigger the sentence, you have to accommodate them. But every word has a structural position. Now this is where you analyze, because you have to figure, well, what is, sometimes isolating, what's the subject? What's the main verb? And then if you have a compound sentence, a subordinate clause, all those, we will be dealing with those tomorrow. But we're just starting with the basics. Subject, predicate, right? And let's just say we have an object. Krishna. We can say plays, that's a verb. But what if we say he plays the flute? Here you have an object. What does he play? The object goes after, remember that perpendicular line? This is the object of the verb plays, and what's the word the? It's an adjective, the flute. What kind of flute? Let's try bamboo. Are all the children doing this too? I think Nityananda has disappeared. What is happening?
His chadar fell.
Your child, he's completely entangled. The chairs.
No, he wants to do this. His chadar fell down.
Now he's caught his foot. This is the kid looks like he must have been Charlie Chaplin in his last life. Only Charlie Chaplin could have come up with this one. I saw a movie in which Charlie Chaplin got all tangled up in something like this. Were you Charlie Chaplin a few lifetimes ago? The movie started with Charlie Chaplin on a statue that was being unveiled. And he didn't know it, but he was sleeping on top. And they had the big cloth, and then the whole city's there, the mayor, the governor, and they pull off the cloth, and Charlie Chaplin is sleeping on top of the statue. And then he tries to get down, and the statue's holding a sword, and it catches his pants, you know. It's just, that's what's happening here. That's all I could think of. Krishna plays the bamboo flute, right? This is the object of the verb plays. So when we have this line, it means there's an object. Radharani cooks sweets, right? Radharani, subject. Cooks is the verb. Direct object is sweets. And then you could put delicious sweets, many sweets. Those all modify. So far so good? I think for today this is sufficient introduction. If you have a compound, remember the rocket? Pencil, or whatever you want to call it? This is for more than one subject, or more than one verb. You can put the rocket ship, we call it the rocket ship. Let's think of two subjects. How about Krishna
And the gopis.
and,
Gopis.
and, we'll put gopis here, and we have to put the under gopis, don't we? Okay, Krishna and the gopis, two verbs.
Danced.
Dance and,
Dance in the forest.
well, we have to have two verbs. Sing and dance. Okay, sing,
Sing and
Sing
dance.
and dance.
sing, and you put your conjunction on the dotted line. Dance. Is this getting hard? No, this is easy. Is it simple? Krishna and the gopis sing and dance where? In the forest. In, where does in go? Where? The, what's your object? Forest.
For verb, there is no separate section. The verb,
You have two verbs here, sing and dance, and we'll put in the forest
when it's
underneath.
in one sentence, then it comes on the same line.
Yeah, this is, you see your sentence here is just simple because you have conjunctions here that break it up. Everybody following it so far? Is this hard? I don't think this is hard. Is this kind of difficult? Is grammar going to be different from now on?
Sure.
I think so. I think it'll be a lot like. And if you look at this, it actually shows students right away the function of a word. You see the function. Because it has to be somewhere. It has to have a functional relationship. Prepositions will have to be there, and they have to go where they modify. Just like an architect, if he's going to show the door, it has to be where the doorway is. And if he's going to show the stairwell in the drawing, it has to go where the stairwell is. Or the windows have to go where the windows are. So it's completely an I call it the blueprint of the thought. It's the blueprint. How many of you have ever had to have a house built? Did the architect give you a drawing? And if you look at the blueprint, you can get an idea. How big the room is, how many windows, where are the doors. Yeah. This will tell you the blueprint of a sentence. And we take sentences then from the Krishna book, no matter how big. We do this. And it's very easy to memorize. Because you start to think in terms of prepositional phrases, clauses, subordinate clauses. Very easy. You see in, just like phonograms, you see in chunks, you see sentences in chunks. You see in terms of phrases, clauses, and modifiers, words, whatever, their job. You see in terms of their function. Visual diagramming. Very easy. Little children, we started with that book. Sally has an apple and a pear. Sally is the subject. Has. What does she have? Two things. An apple and a pear. We diagrammed it right away. Sally red has blue. And pink. Apple red. Pear red. A red. You got it. Understand? Is this? Yeah.
Anything which describes the noun comes on the left side.
Right.
Of the,
Any that modifiers go under the word they modify.
Okay. And anything describing the subject go on the other side of the line.
Anything describing the belonging to the predicate. You can have nouns over here,
That's right.
right? But they're objects or they're complementary. Like Krishna. This is the one we didn't do. Krishna is blue. Remember the slanted line? This is called a complementary word. Complementary noun, or adjective in this case, the color. Krishna is, this tells me, it finishes that. Blue describes Krishna.
So it's on the same line.
Yeah, same line. Krishna is blue. So far, we'll do more tomorrow. Take a look at your book now, it makes sense.
That's right.
And we'll take we'll take compound sentences and compound complex. All right? And we'll do gerunds and infinitive phrases. And what's the other one? Participles. She got it, the three verbals. Infinitive phrases, gerunds, and participles. Compound, compound complex. Those start to look terrible, but once you know the parts, they're not. You just deal with them separately. So far, so good. Now, if this is in color, you can see it even better.
Now she's done, you done on your, just show it to them.
Yeah.
Just show it to them.
This one. Okay, here's a big sentence we did in color. Krishna and his friends opened many baskets of food. Did we make this up? I don't remember.
From the Krishna book.
It's from the Krishna book. So here's how a diagram looks that's quite from the Krishna book.
Then canto the
And all the parts of speech and the color. It just looks like a blueprint, doesn't it? But now you can see the purples and the pinks and the greens right away.
how many prepositions, how many
And how many prepositions and pronouns and nouns right away. It just jumps at you. Okay? There you go. So I think for today that's sufficient. Yes.
So if this sentence would get extended, it would be like this.
There you have it.
Krishna and the gopis sing and dance in the forest of Vrindavan.
Uh-huh. So Vrindavan would go under forest because that modifies forest.
It would be under forest.
Yeah. All right.
So, but here there is the, so that
He would go under forest.
Under the forest, how she done that? Forest. Forest.
of Vrindavan.
Vrindavan would go under forest, and Vrindavan is the line now. Yes. Okay? So tomorrow we'll do more compliments. Yeah, we didn't get to that first, but tomorrow we'll do the stories, and the teachers will get, but I wanted to cover the things that people were very worried about. They were very worried about this, and I also wanted to share with you Prabhupada's method of how to tackle everything in one blow. Even if you don't know anything about grammar or anything, if you follow that, you can do anything.
Auntie, that book of the moral
Aesop, yes. Yes. I'll need that photocopied for you. Actually, after this is all over, we'll just make a list of whatever you think you want. Right, because at this point it's a little hectic, you know. And if you can also be sure you give Shankar the money for the other two books. Because he said he didn't, and I really...
I've been looking for him because I've already taken the approval, so I'm getting it.
All right. Because we really have a very tolerant photocopy man, because I'm always dealing with him, and he'll wait many days, but I don't like to get into a habit
No
of...
need to come.
I
I
know,
just
so-
seen him today. If I'd seen him.
Just so, because they're very good. Normally they demand payment right on the spot, but there's no talking. On the Shringadeva experience, words came up like upset, scared, afraid, bored. Okay. But it seems as though everybody survived the shock, right? They look okay. That's one thing about kids, they're resilient. They don't really bear grudges. Adults won't say anything, but they'll bear the grudge, you know. You just don't want to meet them again. One of the teachers in the junior high where I taught in a middle school, grades 7 and 8, and the school's name was Mimi Middle School. You can imagine, Mimi Middle School. Yeah, pass those out, please. And the teacher had the same last name I did. Her name was Massey, my last name was Massey. And one boy in her class, she was teaching math. Thank God I taught art, which was sort of diffuses their negative energies a bit. And one boy was shooting rubber bands. You know, he was shooting little spitballs around the room like that. So she sent him to the counselor. Now that was not such a heavy thing to do. You know, the counselor had to deal with it. So the next day we're all in a big assembly. And the kid's mother walks right up to the lady, and she's standing in the back of the auditorium. And she punches her in the stomach. So that's what you face in public schools sometimes, right? I've been telling Srinanta some of the experiences I've had, you know. Ron Clark thing is for real, folks. And we've got another movie which is a little heavier called Freedom Riders, where you really, ooh, boy, it can be, it's like combat duty. Like combat duty. So you got to be on top of it, at the same time be cool. Right? One of my kids came up to me and he put his shoulder up like this. He said,